stress is biased. It's personal. It's based on my experience as we use them. I will always do my best to be fair, and I will let the markers decide the best options, but I won't force mistakes by forcing my own style. I'm going to do my best to keep both uses of each marker collection similar, but I'll talk you through it as we go. So for this video, we need a character, a model to model as a battleground for these markers. And who better than everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood spider? Given the release of the new movie trailer, which I am so excited for. I can't wait. This is going to be an awesome drawing. Now then, today's drawing will not be a copy. I'll be doing my own thing based off variant sources like the trailer, but I just want to add some originality when I do these episodes. Naturally, I'm shooting for some symmetry for the purpose of this video, so I am doing a front pose, but I won't overstress or try to be too perfect here, because I'm not. Oh, by the way, this was done as part of a live stream on my second channel. If you aren't subscribed, do that. It's where I live stream. I promise you'll like it. Now at this point, the rough is done and we need to transfer it to a final product, a better piece of paper. For that, I'm going to be using my light pad. Now I went through this last time. If you do not own a light pad, get one. They are the most essential product for an artist and they do not cost much. I'm going to have a link down below to the one I'm using here, as well as a cheaper alternative. You really don't have to spend much. All the price brings with these is a larger surface area, and some, like my one, you can adjust the brightness for thicker paper, I guess. Speaking of, today I'm using Bristleboard, widely accepted as the king of paper, the best paper for markers. It's really going to make this a totally fair comparison. And with the line work done, we are done. We are left with the Iron Spider. And today I'm going to divide this at an angle. Something different, still down the middle of Spider-Man himself, but not vertical to us. Hopefully this isn't going to bother too many, but we'll see how this goes. Alrighty then, so it is time for the moment you have been waiting for, the cheap versus expensive comparison. And today I'm going to start with the Copic markers. Usually I start with the cheaper side and move on to the more expensive brand, but this time we're going to shake things up and start with the expensive one first. And I'm going to be starting off by using the blues because it's a much easier color for me to work with, given I do struggle to see reds, so it'll be a nice little warm-up going into this. And in the past, I have been super critical about how Copics work, with the many issues present, so much so that the last time we used them, I specifically purchased Copics branded paper just to give them an edge, which it didn't even work out too well for them. Today we have Bristleboard and whoa, it is making a difference. I think that we may finally get to see what these markers are capable of. As you can see, we have a negligible amount of color separation. In fact, it is so small, it's not even worth criticizing. And this is huge because the previous times we used Copic, my biggest criticism was how much separation was happening with these markers. Today, that's not even an issue. It's a little bit early on to speak on, but the blending so far, as you can see, isn't really super smooth. Now, this could be due to a lack of the color gradients or the paper itself, but I think at the moment they are working well enough to say these are performing very, very well. Now, I've chose to include a deep and dark shadow because this will give us a great example of how the gradients and tones of these markers work. Between the bright highlights and the dark shadows, we can really appreciate any shifts in tones. Switching over to the red side, I had to make a choice in regards to the design, whether to treat the webbing patterns as individual scales or a flat surface texture. I went flat. Now, these are... I'm just playing. This is going great. I'm not having any coverage or blending issues, so for the moment, I'll just stop mentioning that, and I want to talk a little bit about the nibs. You've probably noticed by now that I haven't and I don't use the chisel side of these markers, and that's because they're kind of pointless. Unless you plan on doing a solid background color, it is a massive waste of such an expensive ink, and I personally do not see the purpose. However, the brush nibs are pretty soft for about ½ centimeter, then firm for the rest of the nib. It does give you a pretty good level of control, even if you are inexperienced, but they still feel, for me, a little bit too soft. And if you're not comfortable using a brush, you might find these a little bit difficult to work with. All in all, with the Copic side done, I gotta say a couple of things right here before we move on to the Ohuhu side. The first one being is that these markers have turned it around for me. They've really performed amazingly well. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I am really happy with the results of these markers today. However, one of my biggest objections is the fact that it required me using bristleboard paper, a specific paper, and a very expensive paper to get the results I expect. From one of the highest rated brands on the market, this is totally unacceptable. And the fact that it does require a specific paper to get these results is a little bit... It does bother me. But if I'm going solely off of today's results and the usage of them today, they were near perfect, and I enjoyed the experience. Moving on. Now, as we move on to the Ohuhu here, the most important point to make, and I want to remind you that while I do own more colors of these markers than I do the Copics, I have chosen the same or as close to markers as the Copic side. Once again, this is to make the test completely fair without using extra tones to fill in the blending gaps. This way, we will truly see how they do compare together. I'm not too sure if you can tell what I've done here, but I've actually made a mistake, and I didn't realize it up until this moment, which is... yeah. I don't really know where the mistake is. Something's... I think I see it. Yep. This needs to be... I can't fix this. What have I done? Okay, so I don't know how I can fix the mistake, so I'm going to add the extra spider leg, make some mistakes on the other side just to balance it. Really, I don't know what to do. But anyway, wow. First thing to know, the brush nibs feel so much better than Copic's. Now, this is totally a preference thing. You may feel different, but they are so much firmer. This for me gives me the feeling of a soft pencil. I feel in total control, and the ink flows are just so much faster. I really feel comfortable. Now again, this isn't to say these points make the markers better. In fact, the faster ink flow may be a problem in some of the smaller areas and just may be a problem for other users in general. But hey, let's talk about performance. These markers blend, and they blend well. The fast ink flow makes it really easy for anyone of any level to just pick these pens up and start blending. And I can really see why these have become so popular amongst so many due to just how user-friendly they are. But they are slightly less controllable than Copic. There seems to be a little bit of bleeding, which I guess can be controlled by using thicker line work, but bleeding is present. Albeit pretty low, it's still there. Okay, so I couldn't help it. I'm really not okay with that mistake, so I'm trying to fix it using a pencil. But this is purely an aesthetic thing. We will ignore this area in the review. My body's not letting me leave that alone. I need to fix that. Okay, so right off the bat, I can say to you right now that these colors are incredible. They are super vibrant, and this is a personal preference, of course. It's entirely up to you whether you like more saturation or less saturation in your colors. But I will say these colors look absolutely fantastic. They also work incredibly well with each other, and they blend very well. They aren't perfect though. We will get onto that in a moment, but for right now, they're working well, and I'm happy with what we're getting so far. There is, however, one key point I really want to touch on here, and that is how these pens feel in your hand, because that is actually a really big point when thinking about which marker you want to go for. They feel great. Honestly, these markers are so large that when you look at them, you're going to think to yourself, that won't be comfortable using them for long periods of time. But boy, it is. Removing the caps of these pens is super easy. Holding these pens feels amazing because they feel high quality. They feel actually way higher quality than Copic. It's all well and good how they feel, but the performance also matches how they feel. They perform very well at a high level, and I think they have a well-rounded experience and user-friendly thing going on, and I like it. The head was actually quite a fun area because although we're getting some bleeding with these markers, that bleeding, if you can control it and keep it inside the lines, it's actually very useful for blending, and it works really well in creating a sort of glow effect around the head. Because this is supposed to be an iron suit, that actually really did work in my favor and worked in these markers' favor to create a really nice looking face. Okay, so there you have it, everyone. The Iron Spider is complete. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Do you love it? Let me know in a comment down below. And I know, looking at the two of them side by side like this, it is very difficult to tell them apart, very difficult to see any major differences, and this may be the closest battle we have ever had. And it's between the cheapest and the most expensive markers on the market. Wait, what is happening here? Okay, so taking a look at the Copic sides first. Now, you all know me. I have been very critical of Copics for the longest time because of the price tag that they have. So I demand quality from them. It's not that I don't like them. I think they are fantastic markers, but I just demand more for the price tag that they have. That being said, using them on Bristol board paper today was a treat. They are absolutely fantastic on this paper, and they work like a top tier marker. Really fantastic. Not too many points that you can actually complain about because they do work well in every area, from blending. They don't bleed. They're kind of easy to control. And if you've got the money for it, they have an amazing collection of colors. They were an absolute treat to use here today, and I would actually recommend them as a marker based on today's video, but that price tag still looms over me and still does scare me. So yeah. Taking a look over at the Ohuhu markers, the cheapest markers on the market. What can you say? They worked fantastically well. Yes, they did suffer a little bit of separation in the colors, which, yeah, that's a problem. That is a little bit of a problem, but given their price tag, we can allow for some of those issues. The vibrancy of their colors are incredible. I do love how bright and vibrant they are, but that is a personal preference. That's neither good nor bad. It's totally up to you what you think about that. They blend fantastically. Seriously, blending with these was quite a treat, and they feel incredible. They feel like high quality markers. But I guess the biggest issue I had with them today was the bleeding. Now, okay, my line work is extremely fine, and I was layering a lot of colors on top of each other. That is what caused the bleeding, but it didn't happen for Copic. It's only fair I mention it when it happens to Ohuhu. So I guess we reached the final part of this video where I ask you which one of these is worth it. The $4,000 Copics, depending on your region, on the left-hand side, or the $180 Ohuhu markers on the right-hand side. I'm going to give you a second to cast your vote down below in the comments section before I let you know which one I think is the most worth it at their price. Okay, so it was an amazing battle between two of these markers, one at the lowest end and one at the highest end of the spectrum in terms of price. But my views, my opinions as the person who used both of them here today, I think it's a very obvious choice going with the Ohuhu markers. Not only are they a fraction of the price of their competitors, but the results are, at first glance, very difficult to tell apart, and that for me is the deal breaker right there. I would expect anytime that Copic goes up against another marker for a difference to be there. But when there is no difference against the cheapest competitor on the market, then you either have to discredit Copic or praise Ohuhu. Today I've opted to praise Ohuhu, and I will say that they are the most worth it marker on the market. The results are absolutely fantastic, and for the price you really can't get better. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Let me know in a comment down below. So there you have it, everyone. The comparison video is done. The Copic Chow versus the Ohuhu brush markers. What did you think about today's video? Did you enjoy today's video? It's a different format to my usual style. I do hope you liked it, and maybe in the future we'll do more like this. But please do keep those comments coming down below. Let me know what you'd like to see in a future video, and of course where you would like to see this series go. What else can we put up against what? Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. My name has been ADC Art Attack. His name is Bob, and we look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. I look forward to seeing you all again. Take care. Bye-bye. Wow, you are a lot closer than I